Hi, at this time I'd like to invite any of the children present to kind of pay attention. If you want to come closer to the screen, then that would be fine too. We'll have a little time together. Um, have you ever been lost? Let me tell you about a time I got lost. I was a Cub Scout. So I was about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. And my father was a Boy Scout leader, one of the assistant scoutmasters of Troop 121 in Nashville. And they went on a hiking trip to someplace in the Appalachian Mountains. And I got to go. And I thought that was pretty big stuff. I'd go off with the Boy Scouts. My older brother was already a Boy Scout. And so one day we were, of the long weekend trip, we were hiking along this trail, and there was lots of scouts, not just our own, but from other troops. We were walking along this trail, and my father told me that I needed to sit down on this kind of rise in the ground that was at this place. And he said, "I'm not sure we're in the right place. I need to go find out." He said, "I'm going to be back. You stay here until I get back." Well, I sat there, and some scouts of Troop 121 who knew me started walking by. And, they started to make fun of me as older kids do to younger kids. And I don't remember what they said, but after a while, it seemed like to me that my dad had been gone a really long time. And he said he was going to come back, but if he was going to do that, well, it was time to come back, and he didn't. So, after what seemed to me to be a very long time, I got up and I went out to find Dad. And as you might imagine, I really did get lost. And finally, another scoutmaster whom I'd never seen before saw that I was looking around like I was lost, well, because I was lost. And he took me, and finally I wound up in the front seat of a state patrol police car on the side of a highway somewhere near this park, national park I guess it was, or state park, where all these scouts were hiking, and they were trying to find my father. As you can imagine, my father was frantically trying to find me, and sooner or later the people trying to find him and he linked up. So they brought him to the patrol car. Now I was sitting there and I was not really paying attention, and I didn't see my dad walking up, but I heard him. When he saw me, he called out my name. When Jesus says that the sheep hear his voice, that's kind of what it was like. Completely lost, and all this noise around, other people talking, made no impression on me. But when I heard my dad call my name from probably 30 yards away, like that, I knew who it was. And I knew I was lost and now was found. So when Jesus says we should listen for his voice in our spiritual life, in the way that we live, in the way that we treat one another, listen to what Jesus says. The longer that we do that, the more we focus on trying to hear our Good Shepherd's voice, the easier it is to hear, and the more likely we are to recognize. Listen for Christ. He never guides us wrong.